Welcome to our webinar. My name is Isabel. I'm glad so many of you joined us today. We are coming to you live from our head office in Stuttgart, and I'm joined by my dear colleague Edgar. I'm really glad I have you here with me today. We have prepared an exciting topic for you today. It's about ELO ECM Basics, optimizing business processes with workflows. Before we start, I have a little more information for you. You will be muted during the webinar, but are welcome to ask your questions in the question box on the top right corner at any time. After the webinar, we will of course take the time to answer any questions you may have, so start writing your question in the question box now. After the webinar, you will of course receive the training materials relatively soon, and now the time has come. I'm looking forward to today's presentation and welcome, Edgar. The stage is yours.
Thank you and welcome from my side as well. Today I will talk about optimizing business processes with workflows in the ELO ECM suite. So, which topics will we cover? First of all, we'll have a look on what is a workflow, um, what's the definition of a workflow, and how does it work. Then I'll show you why you should use digital workflows instead of analog or some other workflows. Then we'll have a look on workflows with the ELO ECM suite, the possibilities which we have in the ELO ECM suite to work with digital workflows, which I'll show you in a live demo as well. And then we'll have a look on how to optimize your business processes with workflows, and what you have to do in preparation for optimizing your business processes. Then I'll show you the highlights of this presentation, and then we'll have time for your questions and hopefully the answers for it. And if you have some questions during the webinar, just ask them in your questions box and we will answer them in the end. So let's start with what is a workflow. So just think of it. You want to go on vacation. Well, I want to go on vacation, but I'm not allowed to because I have to make webinars. No, just kidding. So just think of it. When you think you want to go on vacation, then you have to send a vacation request in some forms. Can be a paper, can be an email, can be something. But the process is always the same. You have to create a vacation request in your company. The first thing what you should do is ask someone for representation. So while I'm away, someone should representate me and should do the work which I have to do during my leave, my let's say 2 weeks leave. And my colleague has the possibilities to say yes or no. So, well, when he's used to it and he's here, he can say yes. But when he's not here, well, he may say no. And in this case, he says, no, sorry, I'm not in the company at this time. I'm on my annual leave. So sorry, I can't representate. So then you have to ask someone else. And then you ask another colleague, and the other colleague, well, he says yes, because he's here and he can do it for the 2 weeks which you are away. So you have a representation for the time where you are on vacation, when you are on vacation. Next step, you have to ask your supervisor. So I have a representation during my vacation. Can I go on vacation? And the supervisor has the possibility to say yes or no. And when your supervisor says yes, then your vacation request is approved. But when your supervisor says no for some reasons, then it's rejected. And that's, in fact, a workflow. It's a process for a vacation request which you're used to in your company. And the workflow is a process or sequence of tasks, which we have here in our example with the vacation request, that are performed in a specific order. You have to ask for representation, and when you have someone who will do the work while you're away, then you send it to your supervisor. So a specific order, tasks in a specific order to achieve a specific goal, a vacation request, go on vacation. That's in fact a simple example of a workflow. There can be more complex workflows like a contract approval or an incoming invoice or a personal request, whatever. But they all have one thing in common. It's a workflow, a process or sequence of tasks that are performed in a specific order to achieve a specific goal. Contract approval to approve a contract, personal request to get a new employee. That's the specific goal. So a workflow is a set of tasks. That doesn't matter how they are performed. But why should you use digital workflows? A digital workflow is the same, but in the digital way. So let's go back to a simple example of the vacation request. A vacation request as a workflow can work like this. You ask your colleague and you communicate with your colleague, hey, can you make my representation while I'm away? Yes, I can. Oh, no, I cannot. Sorry for that. I'm on my annual leave as well. So that can be just a communication at the coffee machine or something. And you can ask as many colleagues as you like and until someone says yes. And then you have to fill in a form. Most of the time you have some forms in your company for a vacation request. Can be a Word document or can be some other things. And then in the easiest way, you send it with an email to your supervisor, and then you get an email back, and the vacation request is approved or rejected, whatever. So that's a workflow with different steps in different, well, ways. You have a communication, you have a Word document or something else, and you have an email. That's a so-called, or I always name it analog workflow because you don't have the same media. Um, it is prone to errors because the communication, no one takes notes while you are asking for representation, and you, well, can't tell. And then you have a lack of transparency. How did this work? Well, when did you do what? So with a workflow like this, you have some challenges, different media prone to errors and lack of transparency. But you can do it with the ELO ECM suite as well. What we see here is a vacation request as a digital workflow. So we start the vacation request, then we fill in a form which is created. The representative can check if he's here and he can say yes or no. Then it's sent to your supervisor for approval. And when it's approved, you get a notification and then it's finished. And the digital workflow has some benefits. You don't have media breaches. So you're always in the same environment because the form is filled in the ELO ECM suite. The representation is created in the ELO ECM suite, and the approval of the supervisor is done in the ELO ECM suite. We have one form which runs through all the time, and then when it's finished, it gets archived in the repository. You have clear responsibilities because when you ask someone for representation, then the representative, your colleague who said yes, is responsible when you're away. And it's transparent because you can tell every time or at any time who has done what during this process. So that's a digital workflow in the ELO ECM suite, a simple workflow for a vacation request. But there's some ways to work with workflows in the ELO ECM suite. You have two possibilities with two types of workflow in the ELO ECM suite. Technologically, they are the same. They use the same workflow engine, but the way you start them can be different, and the possibilities can be different as well. So we have the so-called ad hoc workflow, and we have the workflow templates. The ad hoc workflow is used for simple processes like an approval or a notification. The workflow template is for more complex workflows with more possibilities. So let's have a look at the ad hoc workflow. We have two different types of ad hoc workflows available in the ELO ECM suite for approval or for notification. The users can build their own workflows. So you start a workflow, you select your users and groups or groups as you need them, and then you can start it. And you don't need a workflow template for this. Four possibilities: approval, notification, and serial and parallel. So what's the difference? Serial and parallel, the difference is when you select serial, then one after another gets a task in his or her task section. So you select 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, doesn't matter how many users in the workflow, and you select serial, then the first one gets it, and when the user says yes, then the second one gets it, the third one gets it, and so on. So one after another. Parallel, they get the task in the task section at the same time. So when you select 7, 8, 9, 10 users, all of them get a task in the task section, and you can define what happens when only 2 or 3 say yes, and so on. But they get it all together at the same time. Serial, one after another, parallel, all together. The difference between notification and approval, the possibilities, what the users have. With a notification, they can only say, okay, seen it, that's it. Can be used for, let's say, documents or information where you have to notify your employees in the company. That's the notification. An approval, you have two possibilities: say yes or no. So accept it or reject it. Um, and that's, for example, for don't know, marketing documents which should be approved by the CEO or someone. Then you send an approval where the employee can say yes or no. So that's the ad hoc workflow. And then we have the workflow templates. The workflow templates are for more complex processes. We have more possibilities, and it has to be defined by a key user or an administrator. So that's something what not the normal user builds. Most of the time, they are not able to build a workflow template. So you have to know what to do when you define a workflow template. That's not rocket science, but you should know what you do. So that's the reason why it is defined by a key user or an administrator. You have different node types. You can have automatic nodes, manual nodes where someone has to do something, and you can start them automatically. So, for example, when a new file with a specific metadata form is filed in the repository, then the ELO ECM suite can be configured this way that a workflow template is started automatically in the moment when it is filed, in the moment when it is when the document is changed, for example, or when something happens in with the document, with the folder, whatever. So you can start them automatically when something happens in the repository. So which possibilities do we have? We have different node types. So we have user nodes where a user has to do something. You can define a user, you can define them static or dynamic, depending on the metadata information, whatever. But with a user node, a user has to do something. In our template, what we can see is a user can approve or decline something, or he can say yes or no. Then we have so-called decision nodes, where we can make decisions depending on metadata information. So typical example, when you file an invoice in the repository and you have a specific amount, which is more than, let's say, 3,000 something, then it goes this way. When it's less than 3,000, then it goes that way. Then we have the distribution and collection nodes. Distribution, we distribute it and then they go different ways and then we collect it together. Cycling node, we can cycle as long as we didn't reach a specific amount or until someone says yes. And we can do sub workflows as well. So when we reach this point, then a sub workflow starts and so on. So we have different node types and much more possibilities than with the ad hoc workflow. And then we have some settings as well. In the settings, you can define who's responsible, who's the user, um, which metadata we should think of. You can even do scripting in here, or you can start something, or you can collect data in the settings as you need it, as you like. And that's the reason why only key users and administrators should change it or should be able to create or change a workflow template so that they know what they do in the workflow settings. And we can have different templates. So we can have templates for everything what we need. We can have a template for vacation request, for an approval process, for a specific invoice. We can start something like extraction of data and so on with the workflow templates. So workflow templates for more complex processes in the company. They are defined once. You can change them anytime as you need them, but they're defined by an administrator or key user who knows what to do. So let's have a look at the different workflow types which we have in our ELO ECM suite. So for this, I'll switch to my presentation environment. And here we have the possibility to have a look on the workflows. So this is our web client, and the web client is used in the browser. We can do most of the things in the repository with the web client. It's easy to use because you only need a browser and you need a login. And then you can work with the repository. And I'm logged in as Emily Thompson, and I've created a new document, and I want to the document to get approved by my CEO, by Daniel Cooper. So for this, I use an ad hoc workflow for the approval process, and I select the repository with the repository tile, and then I'll go to the folder. It's in Contilo Corp, company organization structure, and here's the company profile. It's just a PDF document, who we are, what we do, and so on. And the document I've just created half an hour ago, and now I want to the document to be approved by Daniel Cooper. For this, I'll start an ad hoc workflow with new, create task, ad hoc workflow. And that's how you start an easy workflow. We have here we have the type of the contract of the workflow, not of the contract. Sorry. So serial approval, parallel approval, serial notification, and parallel notification. As I said, serial one after another, parallel all together. And I want the document to get approved. So for this, I select serial approval or parallel approval, doesn't matter. In this case, because we didn't select any users. And I want the document to be approved by Daniel Cooper. I want the document to be approved by Sean Roberts. but he should approve it first. And then by William Johnson. Yeah. So with 3 users, we could also select a group. For example, marketing, I think it's a group. Yeah. In this case, every member of the marketing group, which can be seen here, it's only Sean Roberts and the administrator, would receive a task in his or her task section. And this makes sense when you want to be sure that the document gets approved or that something happens. Because when someone's on vacation, for example, he or she can't work with the tasks. But when you send it to the group, every member of the group gets a task in his or her task section. And then you have to accept the workflow as a user. And as long as no one accepts the workflow, every member of the group finds the task in his task section. And when someone accepts the task, then it disappears from the others. So that's the possibility with the group. In my case, we don't need a group. I know that John Roberts is here. I know that William Johnson is here. And I know that Daniel Cooper is here. So, but for demonstration, we'll send it to Daniel Cooper first. Because we have a serial approval and I've opened the client from Daniel Cooper in another window, so I would have to log in and log out. No. So Daniel Cooper gets it first. We make a serial approval. Then we have some more possibilities. For example, escalation management. We could, for example, set an escalation for 1 day, let's say 1 day. And when the task isn't done within the time period which I define here, then I want to get a notification. So I would get a notification that the task isn't done by Daniel Cooper within 1 day. And then I can call him and say, hey, I sent you a task. Can you please do something with it? That's escalation management. With a serial approval, when we change it to parallel approval, then, well, nothing really happens here. But as I said, everyone will get it at the same time. And as long as not every user has done something, then I won't get a notification. But we make it serial in this case. So that's how you start an ad hoc workflow. Select the type, no, select the document first. Then select the type, then define the users, and then click OK. And then the workflow is started, which can be seen here, which was a little bit too fast. And now we should see the task in the task section of Daniel Cooper, because we made a serial approval and he was the first one in the list. So he will find the task in his task section. For this, we change our client, because I've logged in as Daniel Cooper already. And that's the client of Daniel Cooper. And in the task section, there should be a new task. I was too fast. Yes. So there is a new task in his task section, can be seen by the number here, can be seen in the task section here with a tile for it as well, where I can select it. And that's the approval of the company profile. So by selecting the entry in the task section, I can preview the document. I could also create the post in here. Well done. Looks fine. That's the sentence which Daniel Cooper always writes in here. So I can give feedback to the document, which hasn't something to do with the task, but I'm friendly. And now I can approve the document. For this, I go on task, and then I click on forward workflow, and I'm in the workflow step approval, and now I can approve or reject it. If I would only get a notification, then it would be the same. You had to click on forward workflow, but you would only have one choice, which says okay. So in this case, I say approved, and then it disappears from my task section. And now I'm finished with my tasks. And now the workflow is sent to Sean Roberts, I think, and he has to approve the document. And then it's sent to William Johnson, and he has to approve the document as well. So can be seen in the client of Emily Thompson, because as when we um, when we select organize and workflows for this entry, then we can view the workflow which we just created. So that's our serial approval. And we can see that Daniel Cooper has approved the document already. So that's how you can see who has done what. And now we can now we see that Sean Roberts has a new task in his task section, but he hasn't done something with it yet. And when he approves it, then William Johnson will get the document for approval. And when he approves it, then we're here. And then I will get a notification that it's approved. When someone says rejected, then what's happening? They have the possibility to reject the document, and then I will get a notification that it's not approved, and then I can repeat the approval process when I've changed something or whatever. So that's how an ad hoc workflow works. You can select serial or parallel. You can select approval or just notification. When it comes to more complex workflows, then you should use a workflow template. And the workflow template, as I said, is is created by key users or administrators, because you should know what you do. And we have some workflow templates in here. So I'm Daniel Cooper now again, and I just go to some. Let's take the same document, because you can have more than one workflow on a document. And if I have a more complex workflow, then I can start it manually, or as I said, depending on the document type, it can start automatically when a document or a folder is created, or when a document or folder is changed. But just for presentation reasons, I'll show you how to start the workflow manually with the workflow template. Because what we did earlier was create task ad hoc workflow, but when we click on start workflow, we can see which workflow templates we have in here. For example, the workflow template for a vacation request. I know that it's not a vacation request, but it's just for a presentation. And here I can say show templates, show template. And then we can have a look on the template, which we saw earlier. So when it started, we have to fill in a form. Then the vacation request is created. It is moved to somewhere. Then you change the user to the representative. He can say yes or no. Then we change the user to the supervisor, and then the supervisor has to approve it or can decline it. And then I get the notification that the vacation is approved, and then it's finished. What we see here, we have user nodes. A user has to do something. What can the user do? Create or cancel. In this case, what can the representative do? Yes or no. What can the supervisor do? Approved, declined. So those are the user nodes. Those are let's call them action notes, what they can do in this step. And when they say declined, then I will get a notification that the supervisor has declined my vacation request, and then I'm finished. When the supervisor approves the vacation request, then I get the notification that it's approved, and then it's finished. Those nodes here, those are automatic nodes when something happens. So in this case, we move the vacation request to another location. We change the user who is the owner of the vacation request to the representative, which is defined by the owner or the user who starts the workflow. So though with those nodes, something happens. That's the magic rocket science thing. What happens? No one has to do something. That happens automatically. For example, when we accidentally create a vacation request. Oh, I accidentally created a vacation request. No, when we just clicked on the tile and then we didn't want to, then we say cancel, then the temporary record will be deleted and then we're finished as well. So you can see that we have many possibilities here, and that's just a vacation request. We have other things here as well. For example, employee onboarding, that's a small one. That's a onboarding process depending on the department where the employee is in. When we want to provide them a company car, a finance and organization has to approve it, and then we generate the feed entry, and then it's approved by in-house support. So different types of templates are possible. You can start them manually, as we would do when I now click OK. So then we would start a vacation request template on the company profile. But you can start them by clicking on the tile as well. So, for example, we have some in here where a workflow is started. For example, when we create a new contract in contract management, that's in fact a workflow which is started with a form, and then you fill in the form, and then it goes its way from our business solution contract management. Other processes or other workflows which we have here, which you can start with clicking a tile, submit the personal request. I need a new employee, so I want to submit the personal request. A workflow is started. I have to fill in the form, and then it is sent to the CEO or supervisor. I don't know exactly what happens next, or the HR department, depending on the configuration. And then it's approved or it is rejected. Or accessing a personal file, you have to provide a reason to access your personal file, and this has to be approved by a HR department. So many things happen in the ELO ECM suite, or in this case with the business solutions of the ELO ECM suite, with workflows and with forms. So let's submit the personal request as CEO. Okay, so you have to enter the form, and when I click OK, the workflow is started. So that's how you can use workflow templates. Starting automatically when a file is created, when a folder is created, when a file is changed, when a folder is changed, or by clicking on a tile. But the thing is, you always have to think of how's the process working in our company, and how can we build it with a digital workflow in the ECM suite. Because creating a new workflow template, that's not the big thing. But the thing is, you have to find out which processes do we have in our company, and how are they working currently, what are the challenges, and how can we optimize them. Which brings me to the next topic, how to optimize your business processes. So every company has a business process, or one more than one business process. But can we optimize them, and can we use the ELO ECM suite, and can we use workflows for our business processes? Well, most of the time I say yes, but yes, but first of all, you have to define a goal or the goals for the different business processes. What's a typical goal for optimization of a business process? We want to get faster. We want to avoid mistakes. Um, we want to make it a little bit clearer what's happening, who's responsible, and we want to have it transparent. We want to be able to tell at any time who has done what with our documents, or with our objects in the repository, who has approved the invoice, who has created this contract, and so on. So define the goals for the optimization of your business processes. Most of the time, our customers say, we want to get faster. We want to reduce the time which we work on our business processes. And we want to know where the business process is right now, or we want to set some um, dates for escalation management, whatever. But define the goals. That's the first thing. Then you have to analyze the existing processes. As I said, every company has processes, maybe invoice approval, contract creation, um, personal requests, hiring process, whatever. Analyze them and then find out the challenges of the processes. We don't know where our process is right now because we can't tell, because it's analog and we have a paper which is going through the company. Well, that's a challenge. With the digital workflow, you can always tell where is my workflow and who's responsible at this specific step. And then design the target process. Um, do we need some information from third party applications? Which steps are necessary, which aren't necessary? Because many times a business process has steps in it which wouldn't be necessary. So design the target process. Then we have the technical implementation, which is the smaller part of all those steps, because the technical implementation, when we prepare it like this, then it's the easy part. And then it comes to the introduction, monitoring, and optimization. So with these 6 points, which sound very easy but can take a long time, you can optimize your business processes. And the long time is needed for the analyzing of the existing processes and the identification of the challenges. So, how to optimize business processes? That's nothing, or in this overview, we don't have to do many things in the ELO ECM suite. So it's more optimization of business processes. So what we saw so far with digital workflows, you can accelerate your processes. They are finished much faster than the time you needed before you used the digital workflows. It avoids mistakes because the responsibilities are clear and everyone knows what to do at which point, because you get the task in the task section and you don't have many choices: approve or reject, for example, or just say, okay, I've seen the document. Clear responsibilities. Everyone knows what to do at a specific step. You have transparent workflows. We can tell afterwards who has done what. You get automatic notifications when the workflow is finished. So when we would finish our ad hoc workflow with the approval of the document, we would get the notification at the end. And it's a seamless integration because we can integrate other applications or integrate other data during the workflow. So we could, for example, add a step, get data from our ERP and compare it with something. Can be done during a workflow as well. So that's it. That's how to optimize your business processes with the ELO ECM suite. Now it's time for your questions and hopefully the answers. Where's my questions box? No questions so far. That's good. Then I would say thank you for your attention and see you next time.
Yes, thank you so much, Edgar, for your great presentation and live demo. At the end of this webinar, we have prepared a short survey for you. Please take a few moments of your time and let us know if you like today's webinar and which webinar topics you would like to see next. In fact, this very webinar was actually one of the suggestions and we decided to hold it for you. So your topic could be next. We are currently planning new webinars, so stay tuned for more news in the future. If you would like to register for more webinars, please visit our website elo.com. Please keep in mind you can register up to 1 hour before the webinar starts. Thank you very much for attending our webinar today. I hope to welcome you at our next webinar as well. And until then, have a great day. Goodbye.